was like outed. People started to post on Hardware Zone, the forum. They say like, oh, you should put them in a gas chamber and execute them or something.
Them to say gay sex on live television is also a very big step. And it's not something I ever would have expected.
As a gay woman, how am I going to have a house with my partner? It comes with so much more work and so much more money. Why can't you see that there is no equality here?
Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a bit different. I'm going to be sharing and discussing something that is pretty close to my heart, actually very close to my heart. Growing up, I've always had quite a lot of queer friends, and given how Parliament is discussing constitutional marriage laws, I'll be interested to share what queer people and queer couples in Singapore think about these changes. I hope you guys enjoy the video.
Hi, I'm Kim. I'm 27 this year. I am in a long-term relationship with my partner of 6 years.
Hi, I'm Keith. I'm 21 this year.
Hi, I'm Dorian. I'm 21 this year also, and been together for 9 to 10 months.
I'm Colin, and I'm 24 years old.
I'm Justin and I'm 27. We've been together for slightly under a year.
We met on Her actually, it was an app. She insists that we met on Tinder, but I really don't remember it. I didn't want to be in a long-term distance relationship. I still don't want to. She was born and raised here, but unfortunately her dad is Canadian. So when he retired, he decided that they should all move back to Vancouver.
Actually, we talked to each other like 2 to 3 years ago, like on Instagram, but we never really like meet up or anything. Yeah. Then this year we reconnected through a mutual friend.
We met on Grindr.
We were like chatting on Grindr and then off Grindr for like a month or 2 months. One day we were just like, hey, should we
Just meet.
should we just do like a dinner?
Yeah.
But it was quite unusual because usually, on Grindr, like you meet like almost immediately kind of thing.
I'm not out to my parents actually, yeah. Basically, my parents are the most traditional Chinese Asian parents you can ever imagine, and since I was young, they've been telling me nonsense like, oh, it's unnatural, it's gross, it's blah blah blah. And it's really shitty because they have gay friends in their circle. Like they invite us over to their house for like Christmas, but after we leave then, my dad would be like, don't be like that, that's gross, they are gay. So that really didn't sit well with me. It was only at home where I was just very, very cautious about it. When I was in poly, when I first started properly dating girls, I think she could tell. I think mums can always kind of tell. She found a photo of me and my ex-girlfriend, just very, very like innocent photo sat on the couch holding hands, and she just went batshit on me and saying like, oh, you better not make me go to a house, I'll hunt her down, that kind of shit. And as I grew up a little bit, I kind of realized that it's very hard for them to kind of change their mindset. If they can't convince me that being gay is wrong, I can't convince them that being gay is okay, because it's just how they were raised and they need time to kind of adjust, and especially if it's their daughter and it's their child that they're talking about. I'm very lucky to have people around me who love me for who I am. It sounds very cliche, but it is so important when you don't get that kind of support and that kind of love at home. And it truly is, I think, unconditional when it comes to that aspect of relationships outside with friends, with people that you meet.
I think my parents are quite supportive. Like my mom's family side, like always invite him to family dinners and all. Me, I came out when I was 18. Yeah, it was like New Year's Eve. Then like when the clock struck 12, I told my mom. Since she suspect already, then I just like be more upfront and tell her. Then her reaction was like, huh? 不要无聊啦. I'd rather you be alone and all that stuff. Yeah, it was quite hurtful lah. But then like slowly like she become more accepting.
Actually, they weren't supportive at first, like when I came out. Yeah, but now when Keith stayed at my house, they don't really say anything also. So it's like, I guess they are like neutral. Actually, mine quite interesting because actually I didn't come out. I was like outed. Back then I had like my first relationship, so I posted a photo of me and my ex kissing on Instagram. Then like somehow it got like quite viral or something. People started to post on Hardware Zone, the forum. They say like, oh, you should put them in a gas chamber and execute them or something. Then got a lot of hate comments. Yeah, so that's how my parents found out that I was gay. My mom just said like, why must you be gay? Like, yeah, then she just like quite disappointed lah. Then my dad, quite bad lah. He like, cause he's like a very traditional kind of parent, so it's like he want me to have kids in the future. He want to disown me all this, but he didn't lah. He threatened to send me to IMH. I mean, I think gradually over the years he okay already lah. Like he never really say anything.
We're very lucky in the sense where both our families are very accepting of it. Like, you know, I go for dinners with his family and he comes to mine as well.
I have a lesbian sister as well. So when I was younger, she actually came out first. So I guess she kind of took like the brunt of the damage from the family. My mom used to say like, you know, I hope it's just a phase. But after a while, I think a few years down the road, she just eventually found out. So yeah, she just accepted it after a while.
Thankfully, my mom had like gay friends, so she had an idea of what, you know, it was, and she wasn't too opposed to it. My grandma knows that we're together when he comes. The day before yesterday, we celebrated his birthday with like my family, and like it's an Indian thing where like after we blow the candles, like we feed each other like a bit of cake. Yeah, so my grandma like really likes him.
3778, to me it's a very, very symbolic part of the society and where we're at as a country. And I think a lot of people have told me like, look, it doesn't even apply to you, why are you getting so tilted about it? But they don't understand that it is not about whether or not if it's actively enforced, about who is enforced on, but it's about the fact that why do we even have this law if it's not enforced? It's just there because people have to know that, oh, there's still this law set in the books that it's not okay to be gay, or there's something just wrong about being gay. Just very, very recently, I had this conversation with a group of people I'm very close to. They are very, very accepting of who I am, of people in the community, but it showed me how little they understood what 377A meant to us in the community when we were speaking about it, because they were like, the law is gone, isn't that like a very, very good thing to celebrate, blah, blah, blah. And I told them, yes, that was a victory for people who have been fighting for this for the longest time in the community, but when you take one step forward, you take like 3 steps. I wouldn't say back, but to the side. And then there's so many new laws that are discriminating against us. 377A is something that's very blatantly in your face, like, oh, you cannot, gay, wrong. But if you talk about housing, as a gay woman, how am I going to have a house with my partner? A lot of my friends at this age, they're BTOing, they're getting married, they have options, right? My straight friends are always like, then buy condo lah, you know, or wait until you're 35, then can buy already, what? What do you mean you don't have options? So then I tell them like, okay, yes, but it comes with so much more work, and so much more money. Why can't you see that there is no equality here? And the reason why I have to lay it out for them like that is because they just never have had to think about it lah. To them, like BTO is a very natural step, right? It's just something that's readily available for them. So why would they have to consider these things? So when 3778 was repealed, there was a lot of buzz lah. I read the most important things like how it changed the marriage constitution and how it was kind of steered more towards traditional family structures. And one thing that really stood out to me, that really got to me, was MOE's statement about saying that they are not going to talk about this in school because they are about education and not advocacy. That's another thing that showed me where the Singaporean society is like, because what you learn in school is still very, very fundamental to who you are as you're growing up and to how your character is molded.
For me, I feel like it's a good step. It's gonna make people like be more accepting towards gay people. Like for the older people, right, they might be more willing to accept LGBT community in Singapore.
For me, I think it's like 1 step forward but 2 steps back, because like I think they're like making like marriage law stricter, right? But I still feel like be happy. I feel more brave to like hold hand in public now.
We were very shocked that it actually happened.
At the same time, you know, with the whole like constitutional amendment and like, is it really a good step forward, or is it like just a cha-cha, like far and backwards, you know? Yeah, it's good that, I guess, like for him to say the word like gay sex on TV, it like lets other Singaporeans who might not even be aware of like, you know, that we are around, let them know like, you know, there is such a thing and it is an issue, and you know, it needs to be addressed and talked about. So in that sense, I guess it brought some awareness into people.
Even when 377 was repealed, I didn't look at it as a step closer to marriage equality, because I already knew that from the start, I don't think in our lifetime we'll be able to see that happening in Singapore. So I wasn't very surprised when that happened. It was very disheartening, but my plan has always been, yes, I do want to get married to my partner one day, but my plan has always to be get out of Singapore, because even if by some freaking miracle we can get married and it's recognized here in Singapore, maybe in 10 years, but how would people still look at you, and how would it go on a day-to-day basis as like a same-sex couple? I don't want to have kids, but if I do, how would that go, right? Legally, medically. Having a law changed and having people get used to it is 2 very different things, and that takes like years for the people to catch up.
I mean, I definitely want to stay in Singapore because it's like where I grew up and all my family is here. I hope like can buy like affordable house. If not, condo very expensive also. Children, I don't know lah. Never think that far yet.
Like I thought of adopting kids. Then I want to teach my kid to be an NBA player. I've always wanted to migrate to like marry in another country, then yeah, if Keith want to stay here, then I will stay here. But like I want to marry abroad, then come back.
I think like marriage is really important. I mean, aside from like the emotional, romantic aspects of it, but like legally it's so important to have it like recognized by the law, and it like changes so many things from like housing to like health and just living like everybody else. We are very open to the idea of working abroad and settling down abroad, so that's where we hope to get to. Because it does seem very difficult here, and we're not getting any younger, though we're not very old either.
Yes.
But the earlier the better.
In deep down, I still feel very skeptical about what the government has been doing. But at the same time, to get them to say gay sex on live television is also a very big step, and it's not something I ever would have expected.
I was part of like the for repeal movement for a very long time, so like to see it actually happen was like, I guess, a sense of achievement. But at the same time, what from here? There are fences being built around us, and we can't go as far as we like to. I think like it's very important that the straight people around me know of what I'm like, or like I'm very public about like being gay and like my relationship. It's for the straights like in my office or wherever to see that like it is really no different from your relationship as well. I think it is successful in that sense, because a lot of my co-workers, they do recognize that and see that, and they do tell me like oh, it's very sweet, it's very cute, I saw last weekend like you guys went on like this and that, and that's exactly what I want to hear them say, like that they do watch, they do see, and they do realize that actually we're not very much different at all.
I always hope that our videos will of course help people come out, but I feel like this type of thing is like to each his own, because some people, they need to take their own time. Their parents might not be as supportive as ours.
And when people leave comments and stuff like, oh, you guys so cute, I wish could be like that kind of thing, like then it dawns upon me that like there are people watching, and I can at least be like an example to them, like, hey, it's okay, or like there are places of like people that you can reach out to have a safe space, like it's not all bad.
Hi guys, so we have come to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the topics that were discussed today, and I think being a straight person in Singapore, obviously didn't want to like give my straight perspective, because I'm not gay, right? I don't know what these people go through, so I hope you guys enjoyed a different perspective and how it's like being queer in Singapore and what it represents symbolically. And like I think all these laws as well, like they do have an impact, and I think as an ally I would like to share that point of view, and obviously I hope things do change for the future. And if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, because we'll love to discuss these kind of issues on a deeper level. And honestly, I feel like having an open conversation about these kind of things is like the first step into creating more awareness and obviously change in the community. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. See you guys soon. Bye! Sponsored by Pink Dot. JK.